Hey guys, this is Jam of jamonline.ph and welcome back to my channel, and today we're gonna do a gaming review of the latest smartphone from Realme, the Realme 6i. So it's the world's first smartphone to pack a Helio G80 processor from MediaTek. I know that is quite interesting, and inside the smartphone we got here a 5000 mAh of battery, so you got a longer gaming on the smartphone just like the Realme 5, and of course we got here up to 4 gigs of RAM and up to 128 gigs of internal storage. So the smartphone will start at 3 gigs of RAM with 64 gigs of internal storage. And if you're wondering, the smartphone hasn't been launched yet in the Philippines as of this recording, but probably you're watching this right now at May 13, 8 p.m. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, the smartphone will be available, and it will start at 7,990 pesos for the 3 gigs with 64 gigs of internal storage. And of course, you could get the 4 gigs of RAM with 128 gigs of internal storage for 9,990. So let's talk about, the basic things that you need for gaming on a smartphone. Well, first, we got here the large display. It's a notch display. It's a 6.5-inch HD plus display. That is quite fine for me. And yeah, it's a notch display. Not much of a bezel in here. And of course, inside the smartphone, we got here a 5000 mAh of battery for longer game experience. And of course, we got here, again, a Helio G80 processor. And the one that we got comes with 4 gigs of RAM. So yeah, I got the milky white color. It does look good to me. And yeah, what are we waiting for? Time to do the gaming review for the Realme 6i. As you can see in here, we're running Mobile Legends right now, and let's go to the graphics settings. So as you can see here, we're still downloading some of the skins, but we were able to do HD mode, HFR mode. Basically, it's the high frame rate mode, so you could reach up to 60 frames per second on the smartphone. And of course, we got here the high graphics settings with shadows, damage text, and of course the optimized FPS. Unfortunately, we cannot do ultra settings on this one, but yeah, I'm really curious on how this one will perform. So let's do a versus AI with this smartphone. So we've started our game. Let's see if we could do a smooth graphics, smooth frame rates on this one. So yes, we're running Game Bench in a bit. So give me a few seconds. So there we go. Game Bench has started on the Realme 6i, and as you can see in here, the median frames per second is quite smooth at 60 FPS. There we go. That's a double kill, and as you can see here, 6 frames per second. Okay. So everything is smooth. So if you're planning on playing Mobile Legends on the Realme 6i, you won't have any problems with this one. I mean, even Realme is sponsoring the FPS, so probably all of their smartphones are pretty optimized for Mobile Legends. They're really confident with their smartphones. So we finished the game, and it's less than 5 minutes, and we're gonna stop Game Bench. But as you can see here, the median frames per second is 60, and almost all of the FPS, I can see that on the graph below, it's actually pretty smooth. The CPU usage didn't even reach up to 50%, which is quite good. And we do not have the GPU usage, but yeah, overall it's a smartphone when it comes to Mobile Legends. Now let's try out another game for the Realme 6i. So our next game is Call of Duty Mobile, which is one of the most popular franchise on the PC and console, and now it was finally arrived here on our smartphones with Call of Duty Mobile. It's been out in the market for a while, and it's one of the most popular and interesting games right now on smartphones. And unfortunately, since we're getting here a brand new processor, the Call of Duty Mobile on the Realme 6i isn't that optimized yet, as the smartphone can only run Call of Duty Mobile at low graphics with medium frame rates, and you can only enable the depth of field. Oh, it's running at 60 frames per second. So, okay. I don't know why it's running at 60 frames per second. I mean, look at the graphic settings. It's at low graphic settings with medium frame rates, and yet we're running the game at 59 FPS. Wow, okay, that is good. Surprisingly, Call of Duty Mobile is running at 60 frames per second without problems. But, yeah, 60 frames per second at medium FPS. I'm actually surprised with this one. I thought the Call of Duty Mobile would only run at 40 frames per second because of the graphic settings. But as you can see here, the FPS graph below is quite smooth despite not being optimized on the Helio G80 processor of the Realme 6i. It ran really well, and our CPU usage of this one is actually 29.46% right now, with the app usage at around 16 to 20%. That's it for our gaming test of the Realme 6i for Call of Duty Mobile. We'll probably proceed to our next game, which is PUBG Mobile. Our next game for the Realme 6i is PUBG Mobile. So as you can see here, we're running the game right now. And unfortunately, the graphics settings, we can only run it at balance graphics up to ultra frame rates. So whenever we're switching to HD graphics, we can only max it out up to high frame rates. And unfortunately, HDR option is not yet available on the smartphone. Hopefully, MediaTek and also Realme can do something about that. I mean, hopefully they can optimize the game on the smartphone. So yeah, we're gonna try out balance settings at ultra frame rates. Let's see if we could have a smooth 40 frames per second on this smartphone. We're gonna add some style in this one, so we're gonna add colorful style, and of course we're gonna enable anti-aliasing and also shadows on the Realme 6i. Okay, so we're running at 40 frames per second right now. The median frames per second is still at 39, but it's because of, okay, so it's dropping now to 21 to 31. Okay, so there's some frame drops on this one. So let's see if we could do a little bit of tweak on this one. Let's see if there will be a lot of frame drops. Are we dying? Just keep on dying on this game. But how about, you know, toning down the graphics of the game? So let's see if we could add more FPS if we turn off the anti-aliasing and the shadows on PUBG Mobile. So we've started benchmarking the game again. So we've turned off shadows, we've turned off anti-aliasing, and as you can see here, we got a better frame rates on this one. The FPS has gotten better. I mean, by a lot. I mean, it's now going down up to 38, which is going down from 31 a while ago when we've turned on the shadows and also anti-aliasing on the Realme 6i. So playing this game at balance settings with ultra frame rates, with no anti-aliasing and shadows, I mean, the game has been really playable. I think we're consistent now. It's going down only up to 38, I think. So you've seen our gameplay with PUBG Mobile. As you can see, we got a better frame rates when we turn off the anti-aliasing and the shadows. And yeah, we were able to play the game at balanced graphics with ultra frame rates. Unfortunately, the ultra frame rates is only available at the balance settings, while the HD graphics is only up to high frame rate. So yeah, I suggest that if you're gonna play on the Realme 6i, you're gonna set it at the balanced graphics with ultra frame rates and just turn off the anti-aliasing and the shadows to get a better FPS. So our next game is Black Desert Mobile. It's one of the most demanding smartphone games right now in the market. It's available at the Play Store, and yeah, it's the mobile version of the very popular Black Desert Online on the PC, and where you could do a lot of customizations for the characters, and of course the graphics is really good for an MMORPG. And just like the PC version, the mobile version is pretty demanding too, and it has a lot of better graphics compared to most MMORPGs. So yeah, so we're gonna set up Black Desert Mobile at the highest settings possible, which is the max settings. Yes, you could do that on the Realme 6i, and of course, the maximum FPS that we can get this one is 45 frames per second. 45 frames per second at the maximum graphic settings. This is actually pretty good. You can see here there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of effects going on in the game. Yeah, you can see here there's a lot of effects going on in the game. I mean, one of the best features of Black Desert Mobile is the effects, the combat experience, the gameplay. This one is quite good, actually, if you love playing slash MMORPG. Anyway, the median frames per second has gone down to 31, which is still fine with me, I think. Although it's actually fluctuating, as you can see here, is ranging from around 25 frames per second, going back up to 35 when there are no fight scenes. As you can see in our gameplay experience, the game has been fluctuating when it comes to the FPS on the Realme 6i. Well, that is expected since we're running the game at the highest settings possible. But if you want, you could turn down the settings to make it, even more flawless and smooth. But if you want the best graphics possible, the Realme 6i, just turn up the graphics. However, do expect that there's a lot of frame drops on the smartphone. I mean, I've experienced a lot of frame drops. It even dipped below 21 to 22 frames per second, which is bad, but still playable for me. I mean, if you're just doing some quests on Black Desert Mobile, and just, doing some grinding just to level up, I think that would be fine. But if you're in the boss fight, you need a fast-paced action on the game, you would probably have problems with that one. So I highly suggest that you turn down the settings of Black Desert Mobile to get a more favorable and a more consistent FPS and FPS stability. So you've seen the Realme 6i running different games, and yes, it is quite interesting. It's quite powerful. The Helio G80 processor inside the smartphone is powerful enough to run most games that are available right now on the Play Store. And of course, these are actually demanding games. So first, let's talk about the Mobile Legends. So Mobile Legends is actually not a demanding game. It's just, a normal casual game. But yeah, Mobile Legends, we're able to run it at high settings. Unfortunately, there's no ultra settings, but we've run it with shadows on. We've run it on HFR on, and of course the HD mode on. So basically, the game can run on the Realme 6i really well. The Helio G80 processor didn't have any problems running the game. It's almost, the graphics are almost flat. Yeah, there's no flat in the curve in here, right? Anyway, the Mobile Legends bang on the Realme 6i run really well. You won't have any problems running the game if you're planning on buying the Realme 6i. Our next game is Call of Duty Mobile. So despite running the game at low graphics and medium FPS, I'm still wondering why the game run at 60 frames per second despite not being optimized for Call of Duty Mobile. Yeah, G80 processor, I think they need some optimization, or Call of Duty needs to optimize their game for the processor. Nonetheless, despite these problems, we're still able to run the game at 60 frames per second with 97% FPS stability. That is pretty good. That is a sign that the smartphone ran pretty well on the Realme 6i. So yeah, I didn't have any problems that much on the Realme 6i when running Call of Duty Mobile. Our next game is PUBG Mobile. So, as expected, the Helio G80 processor can run the game at balanced settings up to ultra frame rates. Unfortunately, the game doesn't support HDR mode on the Realme 6i, and on high graphic settings, or rather on HD graphic settings, the game can only run at high FPS, which is around 30 frames per second. So, we've run the game at balanced settings with ultra FPS. Our first try, we've enabled shadows and we've enabled anti-aliasing, and we got a score of 39 FPS with 96% FPS stability. We've noticed a lot of frame drops when running the game on Team Deathmatch. We've noticed that there's a drastic frame drops whenever there's a gunfight or probably dying. When your character is dying. But yeah, this has actually affected my gameplay experience on the smartphone. So I decided that I have to turn off the anti-aliasing and also the shadows on PUBG Mobile. And yes, it was successful as the game ran pretty well at 40 frames per second with 98% FPS stability. I know, that is a pretty good score. So if you're planning on playing PUBG Mobile on the Realme 6i, be sure to turn off the shadows, be sure to turn off anti-aliasing, and be sure to use balanced graphics with ultra frame rates. If you want, you could use the smooth graphic settings if you wanted to. And lastly, Black Desert Mobile is one of the most demanding games right now on the Play Store. It's actually one of the most demanding games right now on smartphone. So yeah, Black Desert Mobile run really well on the Realme 6i despite running it at the highest settings possible. So if you want a better FPS and a better FPS stability on the game, be sure to turn down the graphics. Probably not the frame rates. You could get better frame rates if you turn down the graphic settings of the game. But we've run it at the maximum or the highest settings possible for the Realme 6i. You've seen that earlier. So we're able to run Black Desert Mobile at 30 frames per second with 78% FPS stability. I know there's a lot of frame drops. We've noticed a lot of frame drops on the smartphone, but the fact that we're able to run Black Desert Mobile at 30 frames per second with 78% FPS stability at the maximum settings possible on the Realme 6i is quite a surprise. I'm expecting that, I could have a lower FPS stability and even a lower FPS on the game, but with the Realme 6i, we got a really nice score. It is actually pretty good. It's still a budget smartphone, so you have to consider that whenever, buying a smartphone and planning on playing games with it. So yeah, I guess that's it for our gaming review of the Realme 6i. So guys, if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, be sure to click that subscribe button and along with that bell button. I haven't because I talk too fast. Be sure to click that subscribe button and also that bell button to get notified of the latest videos here at the Jam Online YouTube channel. So yeah, once again, I'm Jam of JamOnline.ph. Thank you for watching. See you guys again on my next video.